A major task before the country immediately after independence was to reorient the system of education so as to adjust it to the changing needs and aspirations of the people. In fact, the significant role of education in national development and progress was highlighted even during the freedom struggle when Mahatma Gandhi formulated the scheme of basic education. Consequently, the post-independence period was marked by review of education made by several commissions and committees. The most notable among them are the University Education Commission 1948 to 49 was appointed to report on Indian university education and suggest improvements and extensions to suit present and future requirements of the country. The Secondary Education Commission 1952 was set up to examine the prevailing system of secondary education in the country and suggest measures for its reorganization and improvement. The Indian Education Commission 1964 to 66 appointed by a resolution and on the general principles and policies for the development of education at all stages and in all aspects. Besides these commissions, the Government of India appointed different committees from time to time to study a particular problem concerning the national or the state. Since the general formulation of the 1968 policy did not get translated into detailed study of implementation, problems of access, quality, quantity, utility, and financial outlay started to arise and had to be tackled. Finally, the new national policy on education was approved by the Parliament in 1986. The National Curriculum Framework 2000 to 2001 was formed to respond to national objectives, national unity, and national integrity. This commission was appointed under the chairmanship of Dr. S. Radhakrishna in 1948. The commission was required to study the problem of university education in the country and to suggest measures for its reforms, keeping in view needs and aspirations of the people. Recommendations of the University Education Commission. Below are the highlights of the recommendations for the different aspects of university education in India. Teaching standards. Only the intermediate pass students should be admitted to universities. A degree college should have at least 180 working days in a year. Teachers' qualifications and emoluments. The Commission recommended for the appointment of suitable teachers for higher standard of education and also enhancement of scales of pay for the teachers. Postgraduate teaching and research. A close relationship should be maintained between teachers and research scholars. Admissions to postgraduate classes should be governed by an All India examination. PhD scholars should be chosen on All India basis and duration of the course should be 2 years. The curriculum. Knowledge should be considered as one whole. There should be a connecting band between the general, intellectual, and vocational education. The relation between the general and specialized education should be defined in the context of its relevance to individual, social, and professional benefit to the student. Professional education. Vocational education, teachers training, engineering, technology, and medical education may be included under professional education. Commerce students should be given practical instructions in institutions of trade and commerce for 3 or 4 years. Education of women. Education of women may be similar to that of men in certain aspects, but it should be different in view of their different nature and duties of life. Greater facilities should be given for promoting women education. Education in medicine. Researches should be made in the Ayurvedic and Unani systems of medicine and they should be developed. Greater importance should be attached to preventive methods and nursing. Engineering and technology educations. Institutions imparting education in engineering and technology should be nationalized. They should not be allowed to be a property of some person. More colleges of engineering and technology should be opened in the country. Medium of instruction in university. Except Sanskrit, any other Indian language should replace English as the medium of instruction at earliest. Sanskrit cannot be made the medium as it involves many practical difficulties. The students of universities and higher secondary schools should be taught the national language along with English and a regional language. Students' welfare and character formation. Admission to degree colleges and universities should be on merits. Scholarships should be given on merits only to the poor and deserving students. University examination system. For any government service, a university degree should not be considered as essential. 1/3 of the maximum marks should be allotted to sessional works. Administration. The university education should be brought under the concurrent list of the states. The central government should have only limited powers on universities. It may have a say only in the determination of administrative policy, giving grants and facilities and guidance for national education. Universities in rural areas. The Commission recommended that new universities should be established in rural areas in order to meet the requirements of the rural people. After explaining the scope of university education in the context of modern political and social conditions, the Commission emphasized that our education must be Indian, that is, built on the foundations of our country's history and spirit. The need for the reorganization of secondary education with diversified courses became a priority as the government accepted basic education as the pattern of education at the elementary stage. We will now study the major recommendations of this commission for the different aspects of secondary education in India. New organizational pattern to establish multi-purpose schools to provide varied courses of interest to students with diverse aptitudes and abilities. All states should provide special facilities for agricultural education in rural schools. Technical education. A number of residential schools should be established, especially in rural areas. Co-education. While no distinction need to be made between education imparted to boys and girls, special facilities for the study of home science should be made available in all girls' schools. Efforts should be made to open separate schools for girls wherever required. Study of languages. Mother tongue or the regional language should generally be the medium of instruction. Curriculum. At the middle school stage, the curriculum should include languages, social studies, mathematics, art and music, craft and physical education. At the higher secondary stage, diversified courses of instruction should be provided. Textbooks. A high-power textbooks committee should be constituted. A single textbook should not be prescribed for every subject of study, but a reasonable number of relevant books. Dynamic methods of teaching. Teaching should inculcate desirable values and proper attitudes and habits of work in the students. Teaching should shift from verbalism and memorization to learning through purposeful, concrete and realistic situation. Extracurricular activities should form an integral part of education imparted in the school, and teachers should devote a time to such activities. Guidance and counseling. The services of trained guidance officers and career counselors should be made available to all schools. Health education. A proper school medical service should be built up in all states. A thorough examination of all pupils and necessary follow-up treatment wherever necessary. Physical education. Full records of physical activities of the students must be maintained. Examination and evaluation. The system of symbolic than numerical marking should be adopted. There should be only one public examination at the secondary school course. Improvement of the teaching personnel. The normal period of probation for a trained teacher should be 1 year. The system of triple benefit scheme, pension cum provident fund cum introduced in all states. Organization and administration. Existence of Board of Secondary Education to lay down general policies and a subcommittee to conduct examinations. State advisory boards in each state to advise the Department of Education on all matters pertaining to education. Management of schools. The management boards should be registered and should consist of a limited number of persons headed by the headmaster. No member of the managing board should directly or indirectly interfere with the internal administration of the school. School building and equipment. The optimum number of students to be admitted to any class should be 30 and the maximum should not exceed 40. Finance. A cess called the Industrial Education Cess believed the amount collected to be utilized for the maintenance of technical and vocational education at the secondary stage. Education Commission 1964 to 66, popularly known as Kothari Commission, under the name of its chairman, Professor D.S. Kothari, was appointed by a government resolution in July 1964 to advise the Government of India on the national pattern of education and on the general principles and policies for development of education at all stages and in all aspects. In this unit, we discuss in detail about Indian Education Commission and its recommendations. Stress on science education. Science education must become an integral part of school. A minimum of one laboratory cum lecture room should be provided in every higher primary school. Educational structure. Age of admission to class 1 ordinary not to be less than 6. Two types of secondary schools. High schools providing a 10-year course and higher secondary schools providing a course of 11 or 12 years. 10 years of schooling of general education. The first 10 years of schooling should cover a primary stage of 7 or 8 years and a lower secondary stage of 3 or 2 years, providing a course of general education without any specialization. Specialization in classes 11 and 12. Classes 11 and 12 and during the transitional period class 11 only should provide for specialized studies in different subjects at the higher secondary stage. 2 years duration of higher secondary stage. The higher secondary stage should be extended to cover a period of 2 years and to be located exclusively in schools. Maximum utilization of schools facilities. The libraries, laboratories, workshops and craft sheds should be open all the year round and should be utilized for at least 8 hours a day. Free textbooks at the primary stage. At the primary stage, providing free textbooks to be given high priority and introduced immediately. Adequate number of scholarship. The top 10% of the students in educational institutions should be given small grants annually for the purchase of books, not necessarily textbooks. Learning while earning. Facilities for students to earn and pay a part of the expenses should be developed on large scale as supplement to program of scholarships. Education of the backward classes. The education of the backward classes in general and of the tribal people in particular is a major program of equalization and of social and national integration. 2 sets of curriculum. The state boards of school education should prepare 2 sets of curriculum, advanced and ordinary. 3 to 4 textbooks for each subject. No useful purpose is served by having only one textbook in a subject for a given class. It should be an important objective of policy to have at least 3 or 4 books in each subject for each class, and the teacher chooses the book best suited to the school. Co-curricular activities. Every school should organize a variety of such programs that every child in it may be able to take up something suited to his taste and interest. Evaluation. Evaluation is a continuous process, forms an integral part of the total system of education and is intimately related to educational objective. It exercises a great influence on the pupils' study habits and the teacher's methods of instruction, and thus helps not only to measure educational achievement but also to improve it. Rajiv Gandhi, the former Prime Minister of India, announced in January 1985 that a new education policy would be formulated. Consequently, the new National Policy on Education (NPE) was approved by the Parliament in May 1986. In this unit, we discuss in detail about NPE and its recommendations. The main concern of the NPE was to evolve a framework which would enable the country to move towards a perspective education. Keeping that objective, the NPE listed the following recommendations. Based on constitutional principles. The national system of education derives its inspiration from the ideals and values of democracy, secularism and socialism. Access to education. Up to a given level, all students, irrespective of caste, creed, location or sex, have access to education of a comparable quality, and the government should initiate appropriate funds. Common educational structure. A common educational structure regarding further breakup of the first 10 years of the 10+2+3 structure. Efforts will be made to move towards an elementary system comprising 5 years of primary education and 3 years of upper primary, followed by 2 years of high school. National Curricular Framework. The national system of education will be based on National Curricular Framework, which contains a common core along with other components that are flexible. The common core will include the history of India's freedom movement, the constitutional obligations and other content essential to nurture national identity. Education for international understanding. Education has to motivate the younger generations for international cooperation and peaceful coexistence. This aspect cannot be neglected. Equality of opportunity of education. To promote equality, it will be necessary to provide for equal opportunity to all, not only in access but also in the conditions for success. The purpose is to remove prejudices and complexes transmitted through social environment. Minimum levels of learning. Minimum levels of learning will be prescribed for each stage of education. Promotion of languages. Programs should be launched to increase the translation of books from one language to another and to publish multilingual dictionaries and glossaries. Universal character of higher education. In higher education in general and technical education in particular, steps should be taken to facilitate inter-regional mobility. Pooling of resources. Special measures should be taken to establish network arrangement between different institutions in the country to pool their resources and participate in projects of national importance. Priorities of educational reforms. The nation as a whole will assume the responsibility of providing resource support for implementing programs of educational transformation, reducing disparities, adult literacy, scientific and technological research. Open and distance learning. Universal literacy opportunities should be provided to youth, housewives, agricultural and industrial workers and professionals to continue the education of their choice at the pace suited to them. Strengthening of national institution. It is proposed to strengthen national institutions like the University Grants Commission, NCERT, NIEPA, All India Council of Technical Education, Indian Council of Educational Research, and the Indian Medical Council. India is a vast country with a number of states differing in cultural, social, and economic background. The new education policy 1986 had visualized core components for the curriculum. Consequently, the national curriculum was formed, which is a framework to provide opportunities for all the states to incorporate the relevant components aimed at developing integration and unity among the people of that nation. Let us now try to analyze the basic features of national curriculum and outline. Curriculum should aim at qualitative improvement of education in response to various changes in the society. The socio-cultural context. The weaker sections, women, children with impairments, and minorities should no longer remain underprivileged. Education must contribute to the enormous task of their enlistment and empowerment. Curricular concerns. Curriculum development should be a constant process of searching for qualitative improvement in education and therefore should be a dynamic phenomenon. Education for a unified society. The curriculum must remove prejudices and complexes transmitted through the social environment. Strengthening national identity and preserving cultural heritage. Conscious efforts should be made to acquaint the students with events related to freedom struggle. Integrating indigenous knowledge and India's contribution to mankind. There is a need for the innovative ways of preventing the attrition of India's indigenous knowledge, which usually vanishes with the people, and here education ought to play a significant role. Responding to impact of globalization. Education towards active citizenship and human rights, environmental issues, and the promotion of consensus on a common core of universal values would lead to the discovery of a new scope for old disciplines. Linking education with life skills. Education ideally must prepare students to face the challenges of life. For this, it needs to be intimately linked with the different life skills, the abilities for adaptive behaviors that enable individuals to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of life. Education for value development. The introduction of specific teaching of intercultural and interreligious dialogue through the adequate pedagogical tools is conceived as a means to foster reciprocal knowledge of shared value. Universalization of elementary education. Since the involvement of the Panchayat Raj elementary education has been ensured, however, it would be desirable to get it streamlined and properly operationalized. Reducing the curriculum load. One way to partly resolve the curriculum load would be to take out the obsolete and redundant content without affecting the overall continuity of the concepts. Child as a constructor of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge through active involvement with content and not imitation or memorization of the material is at the root of the construction of knowledge. Continuous and comprehensive evaluation. The assessment of personality attributes, including attitudes, habits, and values of the learners, has to be carefully recorded, and they have to be helped to develop qualities necessary for becoming contributing citizens. Empowering teachers for curriculum development. Teacher involvement in curriculum development is desirable, particularly because it can be a motivating factor, giving them a sense of ownership of the curriculum. Implementation of national curriculum. This national model of curriculum has several advantages and disadvantages. The chief advantage is that it paves the way for maintaining national character and established standards. The major disadvantage being that it impairs education in several respects. It gives no scope for flexibility and variety, fails to tap the local talents and local resources for the development of progressive curricula. The University Commission was appointed in 1948 under the chairmanship of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. The Commission studied the problems of university education and gave important recommendations with regard to aims of university education, educational standard, teachers training, research, women education, religious, vocational, medical and law education, medium of instruction, curriculum, examination system, students' problems, university administration and finance, and rural universities. The Central Advisory Board of Education at its 14th meeting held in January 1948 recommended the appointment of a commission to examine the prevailing system of secondary education in the country and suggest measures for its reorganization and improvement. The need for reorganization of secondary education with diversified courses had become crucial as a result of acceptance of basic education by the government as the pattern of education at the elementary stage. In view of these considerations, the Government of India set up the Secondary Education Commission on 23rd September 1952. Education Commission 1964-66, popularly known as Kothari Commission, under the name of its chairman, Professor D.S. Kothari, was appointed by government resolution in July 1964 to advise the Government of India on the national pattern of education and on the general principles and policies for development of education at all stages and in all aspects. The publication of the report is an epoch-making event in the history of education in India. The report is entitled Education and National Development. National Policy of Education was approved by the government in 1986. As part of this, the main concern of the government was to evolve a framework which would enable the country to move towards perspective education. A national curriculum plan was drafted in 2000 to 2001 containing all the educational subjects and unified curriculum to be implemented throughout the country. All these commissions and committees endeavored to develop the national system of education.